Welcome back to the Hard Truths Instilling Company Studios on this Friday, a football Friday. Appreciate you being with us. It's a special day.
Hello?
Well, that part is not part of you, but I didn't know that was coming. But I just found a Jimmy the Greek song. We've got Jeffrey.
There you go. Gotcha.
It's been a while, baby. It's been a minute.
I know. I'm still alive.
Way too long.
Still alive. Yep.
Way too long.
Busier than I've ever been, but still alive.
Busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest.
Yep.
Since we've had the pleasure of having you on, there are no more divisions in Big Ten football, baby. We don't have to talk about that weak Big Ten West anymore.
Oh,
I can't.
God, here we go, Jim.
Talk about that.
Right into it. The Big Ten West has been dead, and you go right back to it.
Nothing. I love it. People, if you don't remember, there is nothing that I could get under Jeffrey the Greek's skin. Just just like I was twisting a hot knife with that right there. Some fun of the other days. Okay, but now is this going to be harder with no divisions? Because I've talked about, I think that there are potentially going to be up to four teams that are 11-1 or better this Big Ten season because of how a lot of people's schedules play out. Even though I don't see Oregon as a top 10 team, they haven't shown that to me yet, although they are in the top 10. Their schedule is set up nicely. I think they play Ohio State, but that's the toughest, well, obviously the toughest game, but they've got a very manageable schedule. I don't know that Michigan still has a tough way to go, even though they won that big game over USC. Iowa is kind of, if you already have a lot, well, it's not a Big Ten loss, so they're still good to go at the moment. But even Illinois is in this conversation, and I would have lost money if you'd have come to me before the season and said, all right, I'm going to bet Illinois is going to be one of the top teams. I'd have said, come on. I didn't know what they were going to be, but I was not expecting this at all. I damn sure did not expect them to go in to Lincoln and knock off the Cornhuskers on their 400th sellout.
Yeah, there's been some surprises of the season. Obviously, one of the bigger surprises is the Hoosiers, which I'm excited to talk about. I mean, I don't think we're going to have 4 11-1 teams. We'll probably have 2, maybe 3 teams 11-1 or better in the Big Ten. Those 3 would almost for sure get into the college football playoffs.
Absolutely.
And, speaking of the divisions, if I would say it in typical conference follies, we should be in divisions now. This is when we should be in divisions.
Yes,
18 friggin' teams. You, as I joke on the Eyes on Big podcast, if you print out a list of the Big Ten standings, it looks like a CVS receipt. It's so long. There's so many dang teams. We should cut them in half and put them in divisions because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Not only do I agree with you, I've been putting out the weekly Big Ten Power Index, and it takes me an hour and a half to do that. And that's after doing the first one, which I already have a template. And it still takes me an hour and a half. And damn it, I did this week's yesterday, and it didn't save. And I was so mad that I have to rewrite it today, but I was not going to do that yesterday. That was an hour and a half of work down the drain. But yeah, no question that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 teams in the entire Big Ten after just 4 games that have a shot of going undefeated, which that's not going to happen. But there's only 6 teams left that have no losses in the conference. Well, that's not true. Ohio State hasn't played. Oregon, so there's several teams that haven't played. But anyway, in Illinois, what a surprise. Indiana is a surprise to most people. I am not one of them. Used to Indiana not being good, but going into this season, if you were here and if you were covering the team, you knew this is different. This is not.
Yep.
This is not your. I've the phrase I've used. I said, this is not your grandfather's. This is not your father's. This is not even your older brother's Indiana football program.
Right.
This is something different, and IU fans are still grappling with the fact that they actually have a successful program, but we're only 4 games in right now. Indiana going for their first 5-0 start in 57 years, Jeff.
Wow, that's the number. Okay.
I mean, that's crazy stuff. They've already broken a 123-year-old scoring record. They've broken the record for yardage in a game at over 700. Their coach is the first Indiana coach to start his tenure 4-0. See what else is going on. They're the first team in the country to reach 200 points scoring. They're one of 5 programs that have a top 10 scoring offense and defense. 4 of those programs are ranked in the top 10. The other one is Indiana.
Right.
So we'll see. They'll get their chance. It sucked that Nebraska lost to Illinois for Indiana's perspective, but they'll get their chance. How surprised are you? You're very in tune to the Big Ten, but you're a little more west and covering Iowa, covering those teams. Even you probably surprised a little bit.
I'm not more west. We've covered all teams in the Big Ten, every single one of them from the beginning of
us. You're west,
right? But it doesn't make. As far as coverage is concerned, whether the program's next door to me or states away, it doesn't make any difference. But
well, tell me about what you think, my brother.
I was on multiple interviews and podcasts, my podcast on Twitter, whenever somebody would ask me, what's your surprise team of the year back in, July, August, I would always say Indiana. I would say Kirk Cinetti is an amazing coach. I think there are pieces there that people don't realize. And then I would look at the schedule. And I remember we do team previews for, again, all 18 teams, Jim, we do all 18 team previews, okay? Not just the teams in the West, okay?
I know you're a big Iowa guy.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. And so we would, and I remember looking at the schedule, and I think we were 6-7 games into into Indiana's schedule. And I would say, which one of these games is an automatic loss? You couldn't find one, don't get me wrong. A lot of them were toss-ups. I would consider this weekend's game a toss-up game for Indiana, but I saw it. I predicted Indiana 6-6, which was still higher than most people. I mean, most people had them 4-8 or worse. I kind of wish at one point when I went through my schedules, I had them 7-5. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't wind with that prediction, for where Indiana can wind up. So it's looked amazing. Curtis Rourke, I talked about in the offseason, was one of the best pickups in the Big Ten. It hardly anybody seemed to be talking about it. He fits exactly what Cignetti and Tino Sensori want to do. It's been fun to watch. And I love having Hoosier football fans. I want to be specific, Hoosier football fans back in the fold, because they're not a group of fans that takes anything for granted. When the football team's having success, they're a ton of fun. So it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it was just fun to watch. I love seeing teams rise up. Like when Kansas made their rise a couple of years ago, I thought that was a blast. But I'm loving college football overall because there are so many. The portal has really kind of equalized a lot of things. Of course, you still got the great teams, but I think there are so many teams now that have a chance. Indiana, Illinois. I did not expect Illinois to do what they're doing. But that's what makes it fun to watch these teams that you don't expect to pop up. and year end, and you just don't know. So that I think it's going to make it fun. We will. I don't know if the Big Ten can the Big Ten get 4 teams into the college football playoffs this year.
It's going to be tight. I think so. It would be. I mean, it seems like Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. I don't want to say locked, but they're highly, percentage chances that they would get into the playoffs. So, who would that 4th team be? It's going to be a team that either, is a surprise team. I would say it's a surprise team no matter what for how it winds up. If Michigan can make it in for how they look overall, that would be a surprise for them to get in. But Michigan's path to get in is pretty straightforward. They got to go 10-2 and just, win all the games and then split Oregon and Ohio State. They would get in for sure. If Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, if any of those teams can finish 11-1, they're definitely in, or 10-2, they would give themselves a chance to get it in. So those are all surprise teams. Nebraska would be right up there as well. So there is, a grab bag of surprise teams. Unfortunately, most of those teams I just named aren't blue blood teams, so they will get punished accordingly. Indiana should be ranked right now. We've said it on the podcast for 2 weeks. If Indiana had an SEC logo on their jersey, they would absolutely be ranked right now. Or if they were a blue blood, it's all very frustrating. So, it's going to be predominantly SEC and Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. But if you're one of those teams I just listed, you want some SEC teams to start, cannibalizing each other and get into that 9-3 zone, because if it's a 10-2 Indiana against a 10-2 Ole Miss, whatever, it's going to be a tough situation for that team to get in.
Exactly. That's part of the reason why and Indiana isn't ranked at the moment, because of what's on the front of their jersey. And on one hand, I get it, but the other hand, I don't, because so many times I see the media fall in love with a darling team, and I'm like going, well, what's wrong with this team? They're just, I guess when you have that much proof that your program has sucked, that it just takes a lot more to get through to people, but that's okay. That makes it easier, man, because you're that gives you a chip on your shoulder, and they'll get a chance this week as they take on a tough a Maryland team that is one of those teams that you can't overlook. You should be, you cannot overlook them, because they have a very solid offense, and they have an offense that can get up and down the field and can score points.
Yeah, I mean, I am stoked for this game. 11 o'clock a.m. game. This will be one of my favorite ones to check out in that early window. 11 o'clock a.m. my 10 noon your guys' time. This is the best team that both teams have played. It's a little bit bigger step up for Maryland as compared to Michigan State. This is a huge step up for the Hoosiers compared to anybody they've played. The Hoosiers got a good got a Big Ten win. That's always good, but I think we've seen UCLA is not ready for the big time right now, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. But this is definitely the best team.
Baton Rouge, not to interrupt you, brother.
Yep. I mean, they looked okay. I don't think LSU is all that good. Is my take
but
on that. But
Death Valley after getting your head handed to you at home, I thought that was going to be that or worse in Death Valley. But boy, when I saw that 17-17 halftime score, I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. But they got shut out 17-0 in the second half, and that's what matters.
Yes, they did.
The bar is so low for UCLA that only getting beat by 17 is supposedly supposed to surprise people. I don't think that bodes well for how strong UCLA is. But long story short, this is an awesome matchup. Maryland, Indiana. I would be shocked if there's not points on the board. Locks can scheme up plays. Like, I saw a couple holes defensively start to show for the Hoosiers in the last couple weeks, especially the last week. So Locks will take advantage of that. Yep.
Was that in the run game, run defense?
Mostly run game. And Maryland hasn't been a strong running team, but Locks will, if it's a if it's a hat-on-hat game, that does not favor Maryland. If it's a schemed-up running play, which is what you saw last week versus the Hoosiers defense, that Locks can do. They've got capable running backs, Maryland. So that's what I see. I see points on the board. But on the other side, Maryland's defense is much improved, but I don't see this being such a level of defense that Cignetti and Rourke and the crew that they can't take advantage of. So 7 points seems like quite a bit. I like Maryland and the points, but I like Indiana to take the win.
Really?
I've got 30 to 7 in that game, but would it surprise me if Indiana ran away with it? It would not at all. But I think the Terps are going to come to play.
Now the weather is potentially going to play a role in this game and impact it and force it to become a more of a running game, depending on what the situation is. We've got the hurricane that's coming up, the rain. If it's raining like cats and dogs during the game, well, that's probably going to limit your passing. But both teams throw the ball well. I think Indiana does a better job because they have like 7 or 8 different targets that Curtis Rourke is getting per game. And that's the thing. They're like, and then when they run the ball, they've got 7 or 8 guys that are running the ball. So
it's crazy.
Is a multifaceted, multi-dimensional offense. And that is what is an advantage to Indiana. Maryland's a little more streamlined. Of course, but hey, they're still successful. And Kurt Cignetti knows Billy Edwards Jr. very well. He recruited him, tried to get him at JMU, and he knows he's talented. So and then they've got the Felton kid who has had 4 straight 100-yard receiving games. So he's going to be someone that Indiana has to lock down. But I will say this for Indiana's defense, Greek, they're giving up less than 10 points per game, but more importantly, 1.5 points per game in the second half. That is what's mind-boggling to me, because usually when you give up points at the second half, at the end, all that, no, not for Indiana. They go into the halftime and seem to make an adjustment and fix and lock it down.
And I would say it's that, along with the other team just packing their bags at that point and ready to go home. So that's going to change now, obviously. I mean, I don't mean to beat the drum that I know Indiana fans have heard, but it's been a lackluster, shall we say, schedule up to this point. So it's gonna change in a hurry here pretty quick. So I'm trying to manage expectations a little bit for Hoosier fans, just in case Indiana gets behind in this game. It doesn't mean the game's over and the season's over. It just means it's time to battle back. And I think we have enough proof that Cignetti is a mentally tough dude and has impressed upon that his team. So I expect them to respond well if they get hit with some adversity. But I also do expect adversity in this game because Maryland's pretty good. I don't know how Maryland's not 4-0. I don't know how they gave that Michigan State game away. That was a statistical anomaly that they even had that game tied, let alone lose it. So, but this is a great game. I mean, this is arguably my favorite game on the Big Ten ledger this entire weekend.
It's definitely going to be it's an important game for both. Obviously, both of these teams need this win because Indiana does not want to break what they have going on. Maryland already has a Big Ten loss. They don't want to add another one, especially this early in the season. And keep that momentum going. Oh man, there was something else I was going to say. Your Iowa Hawkeyes, they've been up and down. Man, they'll have one game where they're just wow, they look like the old Iowa Hawkeyes, and then the Iowa State game they had that one won and they kind of lose it at the end, which that is common for things to happen like that. But where are the Hawkeyes right now offensively? Every 1 week I think that, okay, wow, man, Iowa's got big offense, boom, and then they get slowed down to 19 points. It's back and forth, but they're obviously one of the better teams, a bowl team. So where's Iowa?
I mean, I overall feel really good about Iowa. I kind of keep saying the same thing to everybody. If a 54-yard last-second field goal goes wide right instead of goes through, Iowa's 4-0, probably close to the top 10. And we're not having these conversations. The defense is excellent. The special teams are excellent.
As always.
The rushing attack now is excellent. So, if you give me those things, I feel like most teams in the Big Ten can win a lot of games. The passing efficiency needs to come along for sure. It's never going to be a downfield, put 60 points on the board offense. That's not how KF wants to do things. But if Cade can stay healthy and they can get some sort of rhythm in the passing game, they're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, you cannot ever count out the Hawkeyes, as they are one of the most consistent programs in college football. And that, I'm talking a long time. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Big Ten schedule this weekend, get the Greeks picked. And before I will forever, and I've said it many times, when Indiana played UCLA, I'm not a huge bettor, but the fact that I was running around so much, traveling to California, I didn't think to bet that game. I should have bet every nickel I owned, because I knew
you were confident
that
Indiana
was going to win by 3 touchdowns. And with a 2.5 point spread, you don't get those opportunities very often.
For sure.
And I'm like, I just, it'll haunt me the rest of my life. But we've got Jeffrey the Greek with us, back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this. Indiana Sports Beat Radio is brought to you by the fine folks at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth.
Hey, Jim, can I talk?
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Jumping the gun on this Friday. I hope everybody's doing well. Jim Boyle with you here from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. And we are joined by our good friend Jeffrey the Greek, where hopefully he'll be with us each and every Friday throughout the remainder of the college football season. But he's brought to you by Pave Drain, baby. First of all, tell me about Pave Drain.
Yeah, the company I work for 4 years now. It's a permeable surface. So if anybody has hard cover issues, this is a stormwater world. But if you build too much impervious surface, you have to account for the water. So a lot of people listening to this might not understand it, but for the people that do, they understand it's something that they have to take care of. So we're a permeable surface parking lot. You can drive right over top of it. The water goes right through it. And then a really fun thing is for anybody building a new home or wants to remodel, we can do pave drain heated, which means you very quickly, easily put heating coils or heating piping through the pave drain, hook it up, and then you never have to worry about snow and ice accumulating on your driveway ever again. You got a nice, warm, melting snow driveway all winter long in Indiana.
Hate snow and ice. I mean, when I was a kid, prayed for it every day to get out of school.
Right.
Now I pray for it every day that it doesn't come.
Different deal. Different deal.
Yeah. Make sure you go to pavedrain.com. Just like it sounds, people. It's pretty damn easy. Speaking of which, and not to be a get off my lawn guy, but how many times a day do you have people ask you a question that you just want to scream, GTS? Google that.
Gotcha.
Every day to me. Hey, do you know what time the game is? I'm like, Google does. Hey, do you know this?
I would say
Google does.
I would say the lack of curiosity is an epidemic in this country would be my take on that.
Yeah. Big Tom Jonas jumping on. Appreciate you, brother. He's talking on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Thanks for everybody joining us here. Jeffrey the Greek with us, and a big weekend for Big Ten football. Tonight is going to be an interesting game, Jeffrey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Washington travels to Rutgers. Rutgers is going